There comes a moment in your life when heaven starts rearranging the rooms you've been trapped in. A moment when God looks at the place where you've been overlooked, mishandled, underestimated, and he says, enough. You didn't survive all those nights of crying, all those seasons of rejection, just to stay in a corner where your value was never seen. God is about to lift you from a place where you were never appreciated. And when he lifts you, no hand can hold you down, no voice can silence you, and no crowd can ignore you. Get ready, because the same God who watched you be rejected is about to make you impossible to ignore. There are seasons in life when you carry a weight inside you that nobody around you seems to recognize. You can be surrounded by people, connected to routines, faithful to responsibilities, and yet feel invisible in the very places where you pour the most of yourself. There is a unique kind of pain that comes from giving your best in an environment that only ever gives you the bare minimum in return. You smile, but they don't really see you. You sacrifice, but they don't really value you. You show up consistently, but they treat your presence like it's disposable. And after a while, something inside you starts whispering, I was made for more than this. I was designed for more than this. I deserve to be seen for who I truly am, but you silence that whisper because you don't want to seem ungrateful or prideful or dissatisfied, yet that whisper is not arrogance. It is prophecy. It is destiny knocking. It is heaven tapping you on the shoulder to remind you that your value is not determined by the people who overlook you. There are rooms you've walked into where your brilliance was too bright for the people who were comfortable in the shadows. There are places you've stayed in too long because you were hoping that one day they would finally notice the goodness in you. But sometimes the people you're trying to impress cannot appreciate you because they are not assigned to you. They are not equipped to discern the greatness in you. They don't have the capacity to see the jewel God planted in you. And when people don't have the capacity for you, it doesn't matter how much you love, how much you give, how much you serve, they will mishandle what they don't understand. Being underappreciated is not always a sign that something is wrong with you. Sometimes it's a sign that something is too powerful in you. God has a way of stepping into your life at the exact moment when you start questioning your worth. He watches how people treat you. He sees how your kindness gets taken for granted. He sees how they use your strength but never acknowledge your exhaustion. He sees how they rely on your loyalty while offering none in return. And because he is a just God, a protective God, a father who does not allow his children to be dishonored without response, he will not let you remain in a place that does not match the value he placed inside you. When God decides to remove you from dishonor, it is not a gentle suggestion. It is a divine intervention. He uproots you not to punish them, but to position you. He shifts you not because you failed where you were, but because that place failed to see who you are. There is a version of you that the current environment cannot bring out. A better you, a stronger you, a wiser you, a more capable, more confident, more powerful you. But that version cannot grow in a place that minimizes you. God knows that dishonor suffocates potential. Disrespect stunts growth. Being overlooked starves identity. So before he reveals your true value, he has to remove you from the people who were committed to misunderstanding it. Sometimes the greatest blessing God gives you is not what he adds, but what he removes. He removes the weight of people who only loved you when you were convenient. He removes the relationships that weakened your confidence. He removes the circles that shrank your dreams. He removes the atmospheres that kept you questioning whether you were enough. God cannot reveal your value in a place that is threatened by your presence. The people around you may have become too familiar with you. Familiarity breeds blindness. It makes people forget the quality of what they have. You can be a diamond, but if you're in the wrong hands, you'll be treated like a pebble. You can be a masterpiece, but if you're in the wrong gallery, you'll be sold for the price of a sketch. God refuses to allow your value to be mispriced. So he moves you to a place where others will recognize what you carry. When God begins to elevate you, he separates you. He doesn't ask permission from the people around you. He doesn't negotiate with their opinions. He doesn't check whether they approve. When God chooses to honor you, he breaks the systems that kept you small. He interrupts the cycles that made you settle. He disturbs the comfort of people who benefited from your silence. And in that moment, you begin to feel the shift. You feel it in your spirit before it happens in your life. You start losing desire for the things that once satisfied you. You start feeling uncomfortable in the places that used to fit you. You start noticing that conversations don't feed you anymore. The connections you once chased no longer make sense. That is not you being ungrateful. That is God detoxing your environment. That is God preparing you for honor by pulling you out of dishonor. Many times, you don't even realize how damaging an environment was until God pulls you out. You look back and realize you were shrinking yourself to fit a room too small for your destiny. You were lowering your voice to make insecure people feel comfortable. You were dimming your light so others wouldn't feel threatened. But when God decides to lift you, He strips away the layers of smallness that life forced you into. He exposes the strength you forgot you had. He unveils the gifts that were buried under years of being undervalued. He restores the confidence that dishonor tried to steal. And here is the beauty of God's process. He does not lift you quietly. When God reveals your true value, He reveals it publicly. The same people who ignored you will have to witness your elevation. The same ones who doubted you will have to acknowledge your transformation. God will prepare a table, not behind closed doors, not in secret, but in the presence of those who once overlooked you. Not to shame them, but to show you that He alone determines your worth. So if you feel like you're being pulled away from people, places, or patterns, don't resist it. God is removing you from dishonor. If doors are closing that you wanted to stay open, don't panic. God is redirecting you toward honor. If relationships are shifting and connections are fading, don't chase them. God is clearing the space for those who will value you properly. Because when God reveals your true value, no one can deny it. When He lifts you, no one can lower you. When He affirms you, no one can discredit you. You were never meant to stay in a place where you were tolerated more than celebrated, used more than valued, noticed more for what you did than for who you are. God is too intentional, too loving, too invested in your destiny to leave you in a place that does not honor what He created. So when He removes you, rejoice. It is not rejection. It is protection. It is preparation. It is elevation. He is pulling you out of dishonor because He is ready to reveal your true value to the world. Rejection is one of the most misunderstood experiences a person can endure. It feels personal. It feels sharp. It feels humiliating, and it often feels final. When people reject you, your mind immediately starts to search for reasons. Was I not good enough? Did I not give enough? Did I not matter enough? You begin to replay conversations, analyze moments, and question your own worth. But what you don't realize is that while you were busy trying to understand why they pushed you away, God was orchestrating the route He always intended for you to take. Rejection is painful, yes, but rejection is also directional. It isn't a dead end. It's a divine detour. There are people who walked out on you not because you lacked value, but because they lacked the ability to carry where God was taking you next. There are places that shut their doors on you, not because you didn't deserve to be there, but because the door was too small for the version of you that God is developing. You may have cried over opportunities that slipped through your fingers, but heaven was rejoicing because those opportunities would have trapped you, limited you, or reshaped you into something less than what you were born to be. The very things you thought you needed were the things that would have hindered your elevation. That's why God allowed rejection, not to break you, but to build you, not to punish you, but to redirect you. God knows when a place has served its purpose in your life. He knows when a relationship has given all it was meant to give. He knows when an environment has reached its expiration date. But sometimes we don't want to leave. We cling to familiarity. We stay loyal to people who stopped being loyal to us long ago. We try to revive connections God Himself disconnected. We try to breathe life into rooms where the air has run out. So when we refuse to move, God allows rejection to move us. It becomes the force that pushes us toward the next level when our own comfort would have kept us stranded. Think about the times you were rejected when you wanted acceptance the most. Think about the jobs that didn't hire you, the people who didn't choose you, the friends who didn't support you, the doors that didn't open. At the time, it felt like loss. At the time, it felt like failure. At the time, it felt like injustice. But if you're honest with yourself, you can look back now and say, if I had been accepted there, I would have missed everything God was preparing for me. You can see now that what felt like a setback was really set up. What felt like abandonment was alignment. What felt like betrayal was transportation. Rejection is not always the enemy. Sometimes it is the vehicle that drives you out of places where you were settling. You didn't realize you were settling because you were trying so hard to make it work. You were trying to prove your worth to people who had already made up their mind about you. You were trying to earn love from those who didn't know how to give it. You gave loyalty to individuals who were only committed to themselves. You dimmed your lights so others could feel comfortable in their shadows. But God will not allow His children to settle in a place beneath their calling. He will disturb your comfort in order to move you toward your destiny. When God uses rejection as transportation, the separation is never accidental. The people who left were supposed to leave. The opportunities that ended were supposed to end. The spaces that closed were supposed to close. Their part in your story was temporary, but God's assignment over your life is eternal. You are moving toward an appointment with destiny, and not everyone can travel with you. Every elevation requires disconnection. Every new season requires new surroundings. And sometimes the only way God can get you to move is by allowing you to feel the sting of rejection. But hear this, God never lets rejection break you without letting revelation build you. After every rejection comes a revelation of who you are and who you're becoming. You start to see yourself differently. You start to value yourself more deeply. You start to recognize that being rejected didn't decrease your worth. If anything, it clarified it. You were rejected because you were too big for the place that dismissed you. You were rejected because your purpose didn't fit their plans. You were rejected because they could not contain the magnitude of what God placed inside of you. Sometimes people reject you because they sense your potential before you even sense it yourself. They feel the weight of your destiny, and subconsciously they know they cannot handle it. So instead of supporting you, they distance themselves. Instead of celebrating you, they belittle you. Instead of uplifting you, they abandon you. But what they didn't know is that their rejection didn't stop you. It strengthened you. It pushed you into the arms of God. It pushed you into deeper prayer. It pushed you into self-reflection. It pushed you into growth. It pushed you into becoming exactly who God intended you to be. Rejection has a way of cleansing your life from things that are not aligned with your future. It removes the distractions. It removes the noise. It removes the attachments that slowed you down. It removes the people who walked with you, but never truly walked for you. And after the removal, God begins the revealing. He begins to open doors you never expected. He begins to connect you with people who see you clearly. He begins to show you why the previous places could never appreciate your worth. He begins to elevate you into rooms where your gifts are welcomed, celebrated, and needed. When God relocates you through rejection, He doesn't take you backward. He always takes you forward. And when you arrive in the place He has prepared for you, you will realize that the transportation was worth the tears, the confusion, and the heartbreak. You will see that destiny is worth every detour. You will discover that the blessing God has for you requires space, and the rejection made room for it. The doors that close are not your enemy. You were simply knocking on the wrong ones. The people who leave are not your loss. God was pruning your life for growth. The opportunities that fall apart are not your failure. God was preparing a better one. You may feel rejected now, but soon you will see that you were actually redirected. You may feel abandoned now, but soon you will see that God Himself took the wheel. You may feel lost now, but soon you will see that God was guiding every step. Rejection is not a sign that God is absent. It is a sign that He is actively involved. It is not destruction, it is construction. It is not the end. It is the beginning of a better path, a higher place, a divine assignment. So lift your head, dry your tears, breathe again. You are not a victim of rejection. You are a survivor of misplacement. You were never meant to stay where they left you. You were meant to rise, to advance, to evolve. God is transporting you to a place where you will be seen, valued, honored, and elevated. What rejected you was not your home, it was your launch pad, and you're about to discover that every now was simply clearing the runway for God's greater yes over your life. There comes a point in every person's journey where loyalty becomes a burden instead of a blessing. You stay connected to people, places, and patterns out of habit, out of fear, out of comfort, or out of a desire to avoid disappointing anyone. You stay loyal even when the environment has stopped feeding you, stopped appreciating you, stopped celebrating you. You hold on because you believe that your presence, your sacrifice, your consistency will eventually earn the honor you deserve. But the truth is this: you cannot rise while staying loyal to places that never celebrated you. You cannot step into elevation while clinging to environments that only ever tolerated you. You cannot walk into destiny if you insist on remaining where your gift is ignored and your potential is suppressed. Many of us confuse loyalty with bondage. We confuse faithfulness with stagnation. We confuse commitment with captivity. Loyalty is beautiful when the environment is healthy. Loyalty is honorable when it is mutual. Loyalty is powerful when it is rooted in appreciation and respect. But loyalty becomes dangerous when it keeps you tied to people who benefit from your presence but do not value your essence. There are places that love what you do, but do not love who you are. There are people who rely on your strength but refuse to recognize your significance. You can exhaust yourself trying to be the foundation in a space that never intended to build with you. You can pour and pour until your cup runs dry while they sip and sip without ever acknowledging the source. Rise requires release. Elevation requires separation. Growth requires letting go. Every time God prepares to lift you, He confronts your loyalties. He shines a light on the relationships you cling to that drain you more than they develop you. He exposes the environments you defend that have never defended you. He reveals the truth about the circles you pour into that have no intention of pouring back. And the painful part is some of the places you are called to leave are places you prayed for. Some of the people you must detach from are people you love deeply. Some of the environments you must release are environments that once brought comfort, but now bring confinement. This is why rising is not easy, because rising requires courage. It requires the courage to admit that you have outgrown certain places. It requires the courage to face the reality that your loyalty has been misplaced. It requires the courage to confront the fear of disappointing others. So many destinies remain stuck because the individual is afraid of being misunderstood. They fear being called ungrateful. They fear being judged for stepping away from situations that have become emotionally suffocating. But hear this clearly: you owe no one your stagnation. You owe no one your smallness. You owe no one the sacrifice of your destiny just so they can remain comfortable. God did not create you to be loyal to places beneath the level of your calling. He didn't design you to stay in environments that suffocate your purpose. Some of you have been shrinking yourselves to fit into circles that cannot handle your full capacity. You dim your light so others won't feel insecure. You suppress your ideas because they intimidate small minds. You lower your standards because you don't want to seem too much. But the more you shrink, the more your spirit rebels. The more you suppress yourself, the louder your calling becomes. You can't rise by remaining who you were in places that never wanted you to evolve. Sometimes the reason they never celebrated you is because your growth exposes their stagnation. Your progress makes their complacency uncomfortable. Your excellence makes their mediocrity undeniable. And instead of rising with you, they attempt to restrict you. They keep you boxed in. They speak limitations over you. They dismiss your dreams. They discourage your ideas. That environment does not want you to grow. It wants you to stay manageable. And anything that tries to shrink your potential is a threat to your purpose. You cannot rise in an atmosphere designed to keep you average. Look back over your life and notice something. Every major elevation you experienced happened after a separation. You lost something before you gained something greater. You walked away from something before you walked into something bigger. You released something before God released something for you. That pattern is not accidental. It is divine, because God cannot elevate you in places that refuse to recognize what He put in you. He cannot reveal your greatness in an environment committed to misunderstanding it. He cannot birth the next version of you among people who only celebrate the older version because the old version kept them comfortable. You must learn to recognize when a season has ended. You must discern when your assignment in a place is finished. You must accept that staying loyal to the wrong place can cost you the right opportunities. Staying loyal to the wrong circles can delay your destiny. Staying loyal to old patterns can block your transformation. God cannot elevate what you refuse to release. You might be praying for growth, but God is telling you, you cannot grow there. You might be praying for increase, but God is saying, they don't have the capacity to celebrate what I'm about to do in you. You might be praying for visibility, but the environment you're in only sees what you were, not what you are becoming. Rising requires trusting God more than you trust familiarity. It means stepping out of comfort and stepping into calling. It means leaving behind the applause of those who only clap when you play small so you can stand before those who will honor who you truly are. It means walking away from rooms where you were tolerated and stepping into arenas where you will be celebrated. It means shedding the version of yourself that was shaped by environments that could not see your worth. Sometimes God will disturb your peace in a place just to push you into the place of your purpose. He will make you uncomfortable where you once felt at home. He will close doors you would have kept open. He will allow relationships to fade that you would have fought for, not because he wants to hurt you, but because he is positioning you. God knows that rising while staying loyal to the wrong place is impossible. The place that refuses to celebrate you cannot sustain you. The place that belittles you cannot build you. The place that ignores your value cannot help carry your calling. So when you feel God pulling you away, don't fight him. When you feel your spirit outgrowing a space, don't shrink to fit it. When you recognize that you are pouring into places that do not appreciate your presence, stop apologizing for choosing yourself. You were never meant to stay loyal to what keeps you low. You were created to rise, to ascend, to evolve, to expand. And the moment you release the places that never celebrated you, God will lead you into places that honor you, environments that elevate you, and relationships that see you clearly. When you stop settling, heaven starts moving. When you stop shrinking, God starts revealing. When you stop clinging to broken places, God opens doors into blessed ones. You cannot rise while staying loyal to places that were only meant to be chapters, not lifelong destinations. Let go, step up, move forward. Your rise is waiting on your release. There are moments in life when God begins to pull things apart and you don't even realize it's him. Connections start loosening. Conversations don't feel the same anymore. People you once depended on begin to drift away. Opportunities you thought were secure suddenly fall through. Doors you assumed would always be open begin to close without explanation. At first, it feels like loss. It feels like confusion. It feels like something is going wrong. But what you don't understand in that moment is that God is not breaking your life. He is breaking your attachments. He is cutting ties you would never cut yourself because he sees the elevation you cannot see yet, and elevation requires separation. This is one of the hardest spiritual truths to accept because human hearts are designed to hold on. We hold on to what is familiar even when it is unhealthy. We hold on to relationships that once made sense but no longer serve us. We hold on to environments that shaped our past but cannot sustain our future. We hold on out of fear, fear of being alone, fear of stepping into the unknown, fear of what life will look like without the people or patterns we have relied on for years. But God loves you too much to let you stay connected to what limits you. He loves you too much to let you stay comfortable in a place that cannot carry your calling. You might not have the strength to cut the tie, but God does. You see, there are ties that feel emotional, but they are really spiritual. You may think it's just friendship, but God sees it as an anchor. You may think it's just a job, but God sees it as a ceiling. You may think it's just a habit, but God sees it as a prison. And because he knows the height he is preparing for you, he cannot allow you to stay tied to anything that keeps you grounded at the level you've already outgrown. When God is about to elevate you, he examines every connection in your life, the people, the commitments, the boundaries, the habits, and he begins cutting whatever cannot stretch with you into the next season. Sometimes the ties God cuts are ties you prayed to keep. Sometimes they are ties you invested years into. Sometimes they are ties that made you feel safe. This is why separation can feel like heartbreak even when it's holy. But if you look back over your life, you will recognize that every major blessing God ever brought you came after a cut. You lost something before you gained something greater. Someone left before someone better arrived. A door shut before a better door opened. A season ended before the new one began. Separation has always been a precursor to elevation, not a punishment. What we fail to realize is that some of the ties we refuse to cut are ties that keep us trapped in cycles we prayed to escape. We ask God for growth while clinging to people who are committed to staying the same. We ask God for peace while holding on to relationships that thrive on chaos. We ask God for clarity while staying connected to voices that confuse us. We ask God for elevation while trying to bring along people who are only meant to walk with us for one chapter, not the whole book. You cannot rise if you insist on carrying what God is telling you to release. And here's the truth many do not want to face. Not everyone is meant to go where you are going. Not every friend is meant to become a lifelong companion. Not every mentor is meant to shape your entire future. Not every partnership is meant to travel to higher levels. When God elevates you, He does not evaluate who you want. He evaluates who can handle where you are going. And if someone cannot survive at the altitude God is preparing for you, He will disconnect them before they damage you. Some people cannot breathe at the level of your calling. Some relationships cannot withstand the pressure of your growth. Some environments cannot support the weight of your destiny. You call it loss, but God calls it protection. We often try to rehab relationships God is trying to retire. We try to revive connections that have spiritually expired. We try to fix what God has decided to finish. And the more we cling, the more drained we become. That exhaustion you've been feeling is not because you're weak. It's because you're carrying something God never asked you to carry into this next season. That heaviness in your spirit is not confusion. It's a sign that your soul is ready to rise, but your ties are pulling you down. You cannot soar tied to what is sinking you. You cannot ascend while connected to what drains you. You cannot walk into divine assignment while chained to emotional attachments. This is why God cuts ties you wouldn't cut yourself, because He sees the part of you that is too compassionate, too hopeful, too loyal to walk away, even when walking away is the only thing that will heal you. When God cuts a tie, He is not taking something from you. He is making room for what He is about to give you. He removes the counterfeit before revealing the authentic. He removes the distraction before releasing the destiny. He removes the wrong voices before elevating you into spaces that demand clarity. He removes what diminishes you so He can reveal what distinguishes you. God's cuts are always strategic, always purposeful, and always connected to your calling. Sometimes God cuts ties quietly. People drift away. Conversations slow down. The connection just doesn't feel the same. It's not rejection, it's redirection. It's God slowly easing you out of a space so you don't tear yourself in the process. Other times, God cuts ties suddenly. Something happens, something shifts. The tie breaks abruptly. You find yourself grieving and confused. But even in the abruptness, God is protecting you from a deeper wound you couldn't see coming. And then there are times when God asks you to make the cut, not because He needs your strength, but because He needs your obedience. He needs you to agree with the separation so you can agree with the elevation. He needs you to release so He can rebuild. He needs you to let go so He can lift you. And though it hurts, something inside you knows it's right. Something inside you knows that holding on is costing you more than letting go ever will. If you only knew what God has prepared for you on the other side of these cuts, you would stop grieving and start praising. If you only saw the environments waiting to celebrate you, the opportunities waiting to multiply you, the relationships waiting to uplift you, you would thank God for every tie He severed. You would realize that nothing God removes is ever a loss. Everything God cuts is a seed. So don't fight the separation. Don't resist the shift. Don't cling to ties that God Himself is undoing. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not being abandoned. You are being advanced. You are not losing. You are leveling up. And when God finishes cutting what cannot go with you, He will elevate you into a season where everything attached to you matches your value, honors your anointing, supports your purpose, and aligns with your destiny. Elevation requires separation, and God is cutting ties you would never cut because He is preparing to lift you higher than you've ever been before. When God decides to lift you, there is no force on earth, no opinion of man, no limitation of circumstance that can keep you from rising. When God lifts you, He does not ask for permission. He does not check the room. He does not consult the crowd. He moves with authority. He moves with precision. He moves with intention. And when He moves, everything around you begins to shift. Voices that once sounded loud suddenly fall silent. Hands that tried to push you down lose their grip. Environments that once felt confining burst open with unexpected opportunity. Because when God lifts you, He prepares a stage where your worth can no longer be ignored. You see, there are seasons when you have been hidden. Seasons when your work was unnoticed. Seasons when your sacrifice was uncelebrated. Seasons when your name was not mentioned in the rooms where decisions were being made. Seasons when you watched others get picked, get promoted, get praised while you quietly wondered whether anyone saw what you carried. You endured seasons of obscurity, thinking they were punishment, but they were preparation. God was not ignoring you. He was incubating you. He was developing you away from the eyes of those who would have sabotaged you too early. He was refining you without the pressure of public scrutiny. God hides what He values until the right moment, and when that moment comes, no one can stop what He reveals. When God lifts you, He doesn't just raise you. He showcases you. He makes your breakthrough undeniable. He makes your growth visible. He makes your story unexplainable except by His hand. And the very people who dismiss you will have to witness the elevation, not because God wants to embarrass anyone, but because He wants you to know that He alone holds your future. He alone validates your calling. He alone measures your worth. And when He lifts you, the same voices that questioned you will have no choice but to acknowledge what they could not see before. There is a level of honor God is preparing for you that cannot coexist with the places where you were once ignored. There is a stage He is building for you where your gift will be needed, where your presence will be respected, where your voice will be valued. But God cannot take you into that environment until He has matured your confidence, until you stop waiting for people to clap for you and start trusting the God who called you. Because when God lifts you, confidence is not arrogance, it is alignment. You stop seeing yourself through the lens of your past wounds and start seeing yourself through the lens of God's intention. Part of being lifted is learning to stand tall in what He has placed inside you. Too often we shrink to fit the expectations of those around us. We silence ourselves to avoid threatening insecure people. We downplay our gifts so we don't seem too much, but you cannot be elevated while trying to make others comfortable. You cannot step into your calling while trying to appease those who benefit from your silence. The stage God is preparing requires your full voice, your full strength, your full anointing. It requires you to walk boldly, to speak confidently, to shine unapologetically. God is not lifting you so you can blend in. He is lifting you so you can stand out. And understand this, when God lifts you, He equips you. He gives you the wisdom, the endurance, the discernment, and the resilience needed for the new level. Elevation without preparation becomes destruction, and God loves you too much to elevate you prematurely. Everything He walked you through was training. Every rejection built strength. Every setback sharpened discernment. Every delay taught patience. Every closed door redirected your understanding. The moments that made you cry helped shape your character. The seasons that broke you prepared your foundation. So when God lifts you into visibility, you are not fragile, you are fortified. The stage God prepares is not just about recognition, it is about purpose. He lifts you because there are people who need what you carry. He elevates you because your story is an answer to someone else's suffering. He positions you because your journey will inspire someone else's breakthrough. God's lifting is never selfish. It is always connected to assignment. You are not being elevated just for you. You are being elevated for the lives attached to your destiny. This next season of your life will not require you to chase opportunities. When God lifts you, opportunities chase you. Doors open for you without you knocking. Rooms call your name without you asking. People recommend you without you promoting yourself. When God breathes on your life, Favor becomes your footprint. You don't have to manipulate your way forward. You don't have to compromise your values. You don't have to force connections. What is yours flows to you naturally when your elevation is divine. But understand this as well, when God lifts you, some people won't like it. They won't understand how you rose so quickly. They will try to question your worthiness, your qualifications, your past. But let them talk. Opinions don't stop elevation. Criticism doesn't diminish purpose. Resistance doesn't cancel favor. The same God who lifted you will sustain you. He did not bring you this far to let anyone pull you back down. And don't be surprised if God elevates you in the presence of people who underestimated you. They didn't see your late nights. They didn't see your sacrifices. They didn't see the moments when you almost gave up. They didn't see the tears you cried in private. They didn't see the faith it took to keep going. So when God lifts you, it will make them wonder how you did it. And the answer will be simple: God did it. Not strategy, not networking, not luck. God, the stage God prepares amplifies His glory, not your ego. It becomes a testimony of His power working through an imperfect vessel like you. Your rise will not make sense without God's fingerprints all over it. And that's the point. Your elevation is meant to point others back to Him. So get ready. God is preparing to lift you. Not slowly, not silently, but unmistakably. The season of being overlooked is ending. The season of being undervalued is over. You are stepping into a time where God Himself will validate, amplify, and accelerate what He placed in you. When God lifts you, you don't rise alone. Your confidence rises, your influence rises, your clarity rises, your purpose rises, your voice rises, and every room you enter will feel the shift. Every environment you step into will sense the weight of your calling. Every opportunity that comes will match the greatness inside you. Because when God lifts you, He makes you impossible to ignore. He places you exactly where your worth will be recognized, your gift will be celebrated, and your purpose will finally breathe in full capacity. Get ready. God is not just lifting you, He is revealing you. There comes a point where every thread of your journey starts to make sense, not because the path was smooth, not because the people understood you, not because the environment embraced you, but because God Himself steps into the story and ties every broken piece together. When you look back over your life, you begin to realize that every season of rejection was actually a hidden protection. Every closed door was a divine rerouting, and every overlooked moment was God's way of preserving your brilliance for the right time, the right place, and the right audience. You were never forgotten. Heaven had your name on the agenda even when earth didn't recognize your value. And now, after the stretching, the breaking, the waiting, the wandering, the weeping, God is about to lift you. He is lifting you from the opinions that tried to shrink you. He is lifting you from the environments that never nourished you. He is lifting you from the rooms that were too small for the calling on your life. He is lifting you from the people who could only tolerate you but never celebrate you. He is lifting you from cycles that tried to convince you that you were ordinary, average, replaceable. But God says, I don't lift what I don't value. I don't elevate what I don't equip. I don't promote what I don't prepare. And everything you've been through has been preparation wrapped in pain, training disguised as trouble, elevation hidden in adversity. You didn't lose time, you were being shaped. You didn't fall behind, you were being refined. You didn't get stuck, you were being positioned. This lifting God is about to do will not be quiet, it will not be subtle, and it will not be reversible. When God lifts you, no demon in hell can pull you down, no hater can block the door, no critic can intercept the blessing, and no insecure voice from your past can convince you that you don't belong in the place God is taking you. His lifting comes with protection. His lifting comes with clarity. His lifting comes with strength. His lifting comes with a fresh anointing that no one can imitate and no one can steal. And hear me, you are not being lifted to prove yourself to the people who rejected you. You're not being lifted to show off. You're not being lifted to flaunt your success. You're being lifted because there is an assignment on your life that demands altitude. There is a purpose inside you that can no longer breathe in low places. There is a calling on your name that cannot unfold while you remain surrounded by those who never understood you. God is not just lifting you out, He is lifting you into greater purpose, into deeper clarity, into a higher authority, into rooms designed for your voice, your gift, your presence, your destiny. So stand still and let God lift you. Stand still and let God heal what rejection bruised. Stand still and let God rewrite what life tried to erase. Stand still and let God restore everything the enemy tried to drain out of your spirit. Stand still, because the God who formed you is about to reveal you. You may have cried through the night, but the lifting comes in the morning. You may have walked through lonely seasons, but the lifting comes with divine company. You may have felt invisible, but the lifting comes with visibility that cannot be denied. And when God sets you in that new place, when He opens that door, when He unlocks that opportunity, when He releases that favor, walk into it with your head lifted high, not because you're proud, but because you survived what was designed to break you. You overcame what was meant to silence you. You stood when others expected you to fall. You held on when life tried to rip you apart. And God, who saw every tear, every prayer, every wound, every sacrifice, is about to honor you publicly for what you endured privately. This is the moment where God takes the overlooked and makes them essential, takes the rejected and makes them chosen, takes the forgotten and places them front and center. This is the moment when God elevates you not because of who applauded you, but because of who sustained you. Not because of the platforms you stood on, but because of the faith you stood in. Not because of the people who believed in you, but because of the God who never left you. So step into your lifting, step into your moment, step into your destiny. Step into the place where appreciation is not accidental but intentional, where celebration is not forced but natural, where honor is not borrowed but earned, where value is not questioned but recognized. Because God is about to lift you from a place where you were never appreciated and plant you in a place where your gift will flourish, your voice will matter, your presence will be welcomed, and your destiny will finally breathe. Get ready. Your elevation is not coming, it has already begun.